All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakwadash. A double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakin bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. And as you see here, it says undocumented immigrants have right to own guns, judge rules. And now it's funny, you know, how Esau is controlling this chaos, because that's exactly what he's doing, man. Hey, if you're paying attention, you gotta understand that or it's like if you're not paying attention, or you're just unsure of what's happening, and you have to understand that he is doing all this ultimately to try to usher in, you know, his extreme rigor and rule under draconian law, in which he's trying to exalt himself as Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, which ultimately, you know, he wants to monitor everyone. You know, he wants to be omniscient and omnipotent as Yahweh and Yahweh Shai are, right? But this specific article is going into, you know, immigrants having the right to own guns. You know, he wouldn't even allow his own citizens to own guns if it's not through proper measures, you know. But here he's telling you, someone who's not even deemed to be a citizen, you know, under the Constitution and under the amendments, that they're allowed to hold firearms. And it's a spirit. It's 4:41 a.m. is when this was updated. But let's get into it. It says a judge this month dropped gun charges against an illegal immigrant in Illinois, sparking further debate about the rights associated with the Second Amendment. U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Coleman of the Northern District of Illinois referenced lower court rulings in dismissing firearm possession charges against Heriberto Carbajal Flores, who was illegally or unlawfully in the United States when he possessed a handgun in the Little Village neighborhood of Chicago on June 1st, 2020. So they saying Jake was illegal and he had a gun. So one, he's supposed to be deported according to, you know, Esau's laws, and two, he had a weapon, so that'd be a sentence. You know, Jake and the states are U.S. citizens and still can't hold guns, you know, under certain laws. You know, if they have what you call it, a record, so forth and so on. But this man wasn't even born here, so this just goes to show you he is gearing up war. I want to grab this precept. This second Edges 15. I'm gonna start here at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. The modern day sword is what? The gun. So it says, the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another. And that's civil war, that's race riots, you know, that's going those that have different religious belief, those that have different political ideologies, and they're all going to be in fighting one another, man, in adverse. If you're adverse in the belief or some sort of for example, the right versus the left, you know, liberal versus the conservative, and they're gonna fight each other, man, and it's gonna get bloody. But ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai, wants that to happen. You know, it's part of the prophecy. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So even the government officials, they're going to be the patriots are going to target those people, man. You know, because on one side you have the Edomites that are saying, "Hey, this is my country. We have to stand up and fight," and then you have the liberals saying, "Oh, well, you know, these migrants that are coming in, they're supposed to get these benefits." But and when you look at it, it is messed up, because you have people here starving in America, and here you have they just put, I believe it was one CEO, basically donated $100,000 towards the migrant issues for those to have housing and food, so forth and so on. But hey, you've been having homeless and hunger problems here in America, for years, man, right? So I want to go back to that article, so like it says the court finds that Carbajal Flores' criminal record containing no improper use of a weapon, as well as nonviolent circumstances of his arrest, do not support a finding that he poses a risk to public safety, such that he cannot be trusted to use a weapon responsibly and should be deprived of his Second Amendment right to bear arms in self-defense. All right? It says, and that's what the judge said. It says he was charged under Title 18 of U.S. Criminal Code, which legally disallows undocumented individuals to possess firearms and ammunition. And we know that the Jake that's coming up here, really all the nations that come into America, Hey, they're gearing up. Hey, and as the articles have been saying, as the news have been saying, these are all men of military age, of army age, 18 plus, who are ready to fight, man. So when they can't get what they need, or Esau sets up these different hindrances for them to not get their goods, not to get their housing. Hey, they come from a place, where they've had to fight to survive. So when they come to a softer environment, quote unquote, hey, they're going to destroy and do whatever it takes in order to get what they need to survive. It says, or to receive any firearm or ammunition which has been shipped or transported in interstate or foreign commerce. It says the defendant who contend the firearm was possessed for self-defense and protection of property during a time of documented civil unrest. And that's what it's going to be again. It's going to be civil unrest, man. But they're saying, hey, he's allowed to use this weapon. So how many more, of these migrants are going to have these weapons, and are going to fight against you people? Because here's the law protecting someone who isn't a so-called U.S. citizen. Hey, this is gonna piss Esau off, man. Hey, because we understand his blessing is that sword, and with that sword, he feels as if his country is slipping out of his hands. And in the words of E, he'll be damned if he allows some migrants to come up here and take what his forefathers established, man. Right? So I want to grab another precept because ultimately, the Lord is going to allow E to get down as well. It's Isaiah 10. I'm going to start here at 5. It says, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is my indignation. Right? E is blessed with the sword. And we got to remember, he said, thus will I utterly slay my brother Jacob. It says, I will send him against a hypocritical nation. Speaking of the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil, and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. Right? And when we go to 1 Peter 4:17, it tells us, for judgment must first start at the house of Israel, man. So Jake is going to get it. Yahweh Shai is going to use Esau as a tool, to destroy and bring forth judgment unto a lot of people. Right? So I want to grab another precept, because this is judgment. This is Jeremiah 15:2. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as for the death to death, right? Because these are all people who are marked unto a judgment, because ultimately, if you aren't in the heads of Yahweh Shai Shai, and if you're not of that number, Yahweh Shai Shai is going to judge you. He's going to allow your sins to be the accuser in that day, and for these scourges to meet you, and you not be able to escape them. It says, such as for the death to death, and such as for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. And I'll appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord Yahweh, the sword to slay, which is what we're going to see a lot of. The scripture speaks about how we're coming into a time of lamentation, mourning, and woe. It's going to be great death everywhere. And no city is going to be safe, regardless of where you're staying at. All parts of this place are going to be touched with judgment from Yahweh Shai, man. It says, the sword to slay, the dogs to tear, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and to destroy. Because the Lord is going to allow these animals to bring forth judgment as well. But back on here, it says there were myriad protests across the nation that followed that spring, following the May 25th. It says he has consistently adhered to and fulfilled all the stipulated conditions of his release. The ruling says, adding that he is gainfully employed and has no new arrest or outstanding warrants. Now you got Jake, Southern and Northern Kingdom, locked up in prison, jail and prison, because they had a firearm on them, man. And had or were in the action of self-defense. You have hundreds of those men in jail and prison, and here you have somebody who wasn't even a U.S. citizen, that basically gets off, and it's just said, he's adhering and following all the stipulated conditions of his release. He's gainfully employed, and he's not getting in trouble anymore. So this is causing division amongst the states, man. This is ultimately going to cause division between Egyptian against Egyptian as well, because the liberals are going to look at it in the sense like, okay, it's good. He's just trying to earn a wage for his family and do this and do that. And then the right, The conservatives gonna be like, hey, well, he's not one of us. He's not one of us, and that's how they're gonna see it. So this is gonna spark a trouble and terror and chaos in the streets, man. And we know he rules by this sword, and he's not playing. It says we hold that when the Second Amendment plain text covers an individual conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. To justify its regulation, the government may not simply posit or oppose it that the regulation promotes an important interest. Rather, the government must demonstrate that the regulation is consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Let's see. It says those who are here illegally cannot possess a firearm of any kind that is obtained in illegal fashion. There is a civil duty of gun shop owners, if by that rote, to lawfully indemnify those who are trying to obtain weaponry of choice by cutting corners. And ultimately, if you're not a citizen, then you did get it illegally, because you have to run through background checks and all this, a bunch of paperwork, so forth and so on. Let's see if there's any more. But that was the point, man. And this is gonna cause a bunch of bloodshed. Because those individuals coming up, the migrants coming up, they're gonna do whatever it takes in order to survive. And you're gonna see crime skyrocket real soon. Real soon. Which is gonna usher in martial law, which is gonna usher in civil unrest, civil war. On top of that, the movie is coming out, I believe, next month. So Yahweh Shema Shai has everything lined up for the collapse and for the end of this place, man. And we're witnessing it. Lord willing, we stay in his hedge, because that's what we're fighting for. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the body. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakwadash. A double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.